Hello everybody, I hope you had a great holiday week. I know it's been tough in Italy and also here in New York, but we're still kind of doing our thing over here at the Grenning Gallery. And we only have 2 more weeks left, or 2.5 weeks left of the Fenske Friends show. And today we want to talk about Rachel Personett. And it's kind of interesting, you know, you see work come in, and usually if you're just a part of a group show, I'll know a little bit about you, but today I actually did a little more reading and research about Rachel, and I'm kind of impressed. I've always been impressed with her work, but she's probably one of the most prepared artists as far as training and education that I've seen in a long time. And I'm not surprised, because when you look at the work, you'll see what I'm talking about. But Rachel was invited into this show because she's part of Ben Fenske's circle. And it's only a few years ago, Daniela Astoni, actually, we asked her how she met, and Daniela Astoni said, "Hey Rachel, you don't have any friends, and neither does this guy," pointing at Ben. "Maybe you two should be friends." And they actually became friends. And he pulled her in. I remember that she was a little bit in the last studio that he had in Florence, Italy, proper in town. You know, one of the things when I talk about Rachel's career, she's only 28 years old, but she has attended the Savannah College of Art and Design. She's attended the Angel Academy and the Florence Academy, where she got a degree in, 2016. But then she went on to study with Odd Nerdrum, which some of my other artists have done. Anthony Ackrell went there. Some of the other painters here have been through the studio. But she talks about her influences. When she was a very, very young, Van Gogh and Andrew Wyeth were really interesting to her, and you'll see that in the work. But then when she got to the Florence Academy, she was introduced to Willard Metcalf, Sorolla, and Fantin Latour. And actually, I'm going to bring you over there to look at some of the work, because this is one of the most interesting contemporary realist paintings that I've seen in a long time. She's painting on a metal circle. The fact that it's on metal and that it's this non-traditional format, I think is really interesting. If you get up close, I don't know if this is good light in the camera, you'll see a very, very accurate, delicate, and almost poetic handling of the petals, and with that dark background, and you very much understand that she's looking at and inspired by Fantin Latour. There's another one, actually. Here's another smaller version. I love this painting too. What is this painting called?
This one is called Peonies, and the round one is called Pink Peonies.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Even this almost looks like a Dutch master.
Love this one.
Yeah, and her choice of, her ability to draw accurately and paint accurately is completely highlighted by the very firm surface. I think this is on a board, and it's also very high gloss varnish, which very few of my painters are doing. And she's only doing it in this format. And that is a very unforgiving way of presenting your work. And she can do that because she is incredibly accurate. But what I want to point out on both the circular format and then this one of the irises, it's an extremely contemporary format. These classical realist works would work very well in a very modern interior. And that is one of the things that I've been looking for, is very well-trained, well-trained artists making well-crafted paintings that could fit into a home today. And so that's definitely the case. And I don't mean home, I mean matching everything. I mean like a collection that is somehow up to date and not looking back. So she's achieving that. But this is a really interesting crossover painting. This is called Fenske Friends, and in my other things,
I think it's called
the show.
Oh,
is called Fenske Friends. This painting is called Peach Roses. But one of the things that stands out on this painting, it's funny because I said to Megan as we were laying these out, I was like, that may not be my favorite, and Megan said, actually, it's one of my absolute favorites. because of the handling of the background, we're seeing now an influence of Ben Fenske, which you're going to see much more in some other works. And I'm going to actually talk a little bit, let's see. So again, I've talked about this foreground background, and so you have these really delicately and carefully painted and observed petals, like a Fantin Latour, but the background is a lot more breadth than you would ever see in a Fantin Latour. There's a lot more atmosphere in this painting. It makes it a little more impressionistic. And it's interesting because when she was talking about the people who influenced her today, she lists Jamie Wyeth and Andrew and Jamie Wyeth still, but Ben Fenske, Mark D'Alessio, Michael Klein, Daniela Astoni, and Dmitry Pemiakov. Okay, she's going to correct that if I said that wrong. I like the fact that it's almost like we're in this slow motion watching art history. You know, 23 years now I've been doing this, and I can see how these artists are cross-influencing each other, which is why this show, I think, is one of the most interesting shows we've ever done. And they're all at different stages. Rachel Personett is the quintessential best investment at the Grenning Gallery because she's in her 20s. She's only been showing with us for 2 years. She is being picked up very quickly by galleries around the country and I think overseas. I'm not sure. Is she? We'll confirm that. And her work is harder for us to get because she's quite meticulous, so she's not making a lot of paintings, but what she makes, we are having no trouble selling. And I'm not at all surprised that the combination of her training plus her natural sense of taste and what she wants to paint. And I just want to show you, I'm going to put this down and grab my other piece of paper, sorry. Here we go. One of the things she said when she first saw Ben Fenske's work was that she was absolutely blown away. And it was the movement and the air, which is what we're talking about in this little painting. You know, this is, although these are like technically really incredible, there's more movement and air in this painting. She said that it's as if you can step into his work. And the more work that she sees by Ben Fenske, the more convinced Rachel Personett is of his genius. And when we asked her one word to describe him, she said deadpan, which I think is hilarious. She also said, you know, one of the things, the most important influence that he's had on her work, and we've heard this from other painters, is that he basically paints his actual life. He paints what's happening in his life. And she said, in order to have good paintings, you actually need to create a beautiful and exciting life. And on that note, I wanted to mention that she was painting in Russia, I think earlier this year, and that's where this painting was made, which I think is, I think that's a Russian hat in some kind of a daka or something. It isn't as common here, but she also was painting in Ireland with Ben up here, and you can see the range now and the fact that she's able to absorb a Monet, Manet influence, and that's what she said when she left school. Monet, Manet, and the Impressionists plus Ben Fenske. And she said that her life has changed because of this idea that you can paint anything that you're interested in and that you're actually doing and that's in your life. And I love that freedom. One of the things about classical training is you learn to control a lot of variables, but then you can be hampered in the way that you paint. And one of the things that she picked up from the Florence Academy is that she will only paint from life. She's quite strict about that. So in order to paint a bar scene or the outside of a beautiful bar in Ireland, she has to go to Ireland. And so as a result, she's leading a much more interesting life. Just one other aside, she said, you know, we asked at the end of the little, questionnaire, is there anything else you want to add about Ben Fenske? And she said, you know, he's the kind of person who will act kind of grumpy, which I think is a general theme we've all heard. But the whole time he's doing something nice in the background, which I kind of like that, you know. So for a guy with no friends, he seems to have a lot of friends who admire him. And here we're going to finish on my absolute favorite, which I just was checking the price because I was thinking of buying it. I'm going to hold it here so you can see it. And this is called the Gallerist. I love it. Again, we have a really almost contemporary, clean, iconic composition. It's painted accurately. I'm sure that that figure looks like a figure sitting in a chair. But the choices that she's made with the painting behind her, the look on the face of the girl, of the gallerist, and just the singularity of her pose. It's just so straight up and dead on. You don't want to mess with that gallerist. Anyhow, I like this. This is also, I think, a little bit of a feminist piece. This is a very powerful woman in her gallery, telling you like it is. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Anyhow, so that, oh yeah, I didn't mention, this is also a landscape by, a more recent landscape by Rachel, which is really kind of neat because it's black, dark with a white background almost. It's like the inverse of these florals. But anyhow, this is the work of Rachel Personett, and we think that she's one of the best investments here. Her prices are still very, very affordable for the quality that you're getting. And at 28 years old, I mean, we expect great things from Rachel Personett. Thanks.